President of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, received executives of the Spanish energy multinational Repsol to affirm the strengthening and exchange of hydrocarbons. In Argentina, social movements ratified their call to demonstrate despite the threat of the government of Javier Milei to withdraw social aid to those who stand up against it. In Palestine, Israeli armed forces killed 50 Palestinian civilians after an airstrike. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Marrero from the teleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela. We'll begin with the news. Stay with us. The president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, received executives of the Spanish energy multinational Repsol to affirm the strengthening and exchange of hydrocarbons. The meeting held at the Miraflores Palace represents progress in a cooperation and high-level commercial exchange between the Venezuelan state-owned company PDVSA and the Spanish energy multinational Repsol. The relations between both oil companies are based on truth and legal security to guarantee sustainable development as well as share profits. In Panama, members of the political party Alianza Pueblo Unido por la Vida assured that they will hold matches until the orderly closure of the mining company is achieved. Educators and trade unionists are forecasted to meet this Tuesday at 4 p.m. local time in Porras Park to then attend the presidency of the Republic. With this type of demonstrations, citizens hope that the operation of the thirst in minerals and the persecution and prosecution of leaders who fight against this mining will be safe. In El Salvador, around 74,000 Al-Chigan members were arrested under the emergency regime imposed by President Nayib Bukele. In this regard, a majority of the detainees are being held in high-security prisons, such as a tourism confinement center. In addition, the National Police reported the confiscation of more than 3,000 firearms during the operation. In this context, social movements condemn the measures imposed by the executive, qualifying them as human rights violations while demanding the release of other families as soon as possible. In Cuba, His Excellency Mr. Darwish S. Hamed Hashabilia, president of the Green Sun Foundation, participated in the central activity of the World Arabic Language Day. During his visit to Havana, Ahmed Hashabani signed an agreement to expand the Arab-Spanish exchange project and promote learning of the Arabic language.
I have decided to go for the language, Arabic language, in the land of Latinian land, in the Caribbean. And we picked Cuba. We could say that we picked it as a start. But this start is important. You need to find the right soil to go on and embed the seed. And there is no better land to go and put the seed in order to grow this particular project. Cuba has got culture, has got history, a civilized place. Cuba is under pressure. Cuban are quality. Cuban people are friendly. People of Cuba has already proven to me in this week that I've been in Cuba that they are the starting point. That's why we picked Havana. That's why we said we start Havana. And that's why we feel that from Havana we will go out of the city into the Caribbean Sea countries and Latin America. So wish us all the best, because we would like and we would love to move from here into the rest of the countries, inshallah.
In Argentina, social movements ratified their call to demonstrate despite the threat of the government of Javier Milei to withdraw social aid to those who stand up against it. Argentina Central Workers Union state that they will remain firm in their call for social mobilizations. They also warned that the restriction of protests violates constitutional rights and encourage unions persecution. Finally, the Minister of Security, Patricia Burlich, announced that the public order protocols will be applied for the first time against the demonstration called tomorrow by the Piquetera unit in rejection of the violation of human rights by the government of Javier Milei. China canceled $6.5 billion in aid to Argentina after Javier Milei came to power. Less than 2 weeks after the arrival of Javier Milei as president of Argentina, the government of China put a stop to an exchange for billions of dollars that it has been offering the country to assist with the payments of the debt owed to the IMF. The decision by Beijing to block the agreement comes after Milei's campaign, in which he stated that he will break off relations with the Asian country, which he calls a communist dictatorship. This agreement projects a total of $11.5 billion agreed during the previous government of Alberto Fernandez. In the United States, Texas governor signed a law giving police the power to detain immigrants and local judge to authority to remove them, the most drastic attempt at immigration enforcement in 2010. In the U.S., Texas Governor Greg Abbott signed a state law as before to authorize local officials and law enforcement to detain and arrest undocumented migrants on charges of illegal entry. Civil rights organizations and figures in President Joe Biden's administration, meanwhile, have called the rule unconstitutional. The President of Mexico, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, will challenge the immigration law enacted by the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott. The Mexican president points out that with the measure, the governor Abbott is usurping functions that have to do with foreign policy and that are the exclusive responsibility of the Congress and the government of the United States. Let's take a very short break, but remember you can now join us on our TikTok account and teleSUR English, where you'll be able to see news in different formats, news updates and more. Stay tuned for more news. Welcome back from the south. At least 50 Palestinian citizens were killed by Israeli occupation forces following a new airstrike in the Gaza Strip. According to authorities, the attack against the Al-Rimol neighborhood left 1,000 wounded and 50 missing. They also report another attack against several residential areas in the city of Jabalia and Khan Yunis. Also, reports reveal that more than 19,000 people have been killed and 52,000 injured since the beginning of the Israeli incursion against Gaza. Meanwhile, the occupation aircraft bombed at the headquarters of the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Refugees in the Tel Sana area north of Gaza. In Gaza, the Palestinian government office and the health ministry informed that the toll has risen to 19,664 people. We contact North Harrison teleSUR correspondents live from Gaza for more information from the ground.
In the 47th day of this Israeli offensive on the Gaza Strip, and in a joint statement of the Palestinian Health Ministry and the Palestinian Governmental Office here in Gaza, they said that the death toll in Gaza has reached 19,664 people. 8,000 of them are children, 6,200 actually of them are women, 310 of them are from the medical staff, including doctors, nurses, paramedics, and 97 of them are journalists. And these catastrophic numbers actually continue to rise in every single day that the Palestinian go through this offensive, this Israeli offensive on the coastal enclave. Talking about the latest on the ground, there is intensive battles between the Palestinian militants and the Israeli forces on the ground, especially in areas like eastern Ash-Shuja'iyya, eastern Khan Yunis, and also eastern Rafah. Today was a very intensive day of bombing on the Palestinian city of Rafah. More than 35 people were reported killed, including journalists. Here also in Middle Gaza was a very intensive day. Just a few hours ago, several Israeli airstrikes hit the Al-Nusayrat refugee camp and Deir al-Balah refugee camp, where more than 10 people were killed. Nur Harazin, teleSUR, Gaza.
The President of Israel, Isaac Herzog, expressed his willingness to negotiate a second humanitarian pause with the Palestinian resistance movement Hamas in exchange for a second release of hostages. The Israeli president referred to this possibility by highlighting the alleged humanitarian efforts of Israel since October 7 for the entry of humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip. The ruler said several reactions have been generated among them from the United Nations in rejection to the Israeli attacks that prevent the arrival of safe aid to the Gaza people. In the United States, protests is continuing in support of the Palestinian people in the face of the Israeli attack on the Gaza Strip. In New York, hundreds of people mobilized on new streets under the slogan "From Gaza to Yemen, Revolution until Victory" in solidarity with the Palestinian people. Groups of demonstrators carry Palestinian flags to demand a ceasefire. Let's take our last break, but before we invite you to join us on our WhatsApp community for our English-speaking audience. You can scan the QR code on the screen to join directly and share the link to reach more people. Constant news coverage of Latin America and the Caribbean, as well as the rest of the world. Stay connected and informed with teleSUR. One financial break, don't go away. Welcome back. On Tuesday, Argentina's meteorological service issued a red alert for extreme heat and yellow alert for storms in some localities of the country. Authorities informed that a heat wave of up to 32 degrees is expected in the localities of Jujuy and Misiones, while the localities of Corrientes, Formosa, Chocó, and Neuquén will be affected by rains, thunderstorm, and possible hail. The nation's meteorological system recommends citizens to stay hydrated, avoid physical activities, and not to expose themselves to the sunlight. Severe flooding has hit northwestern Australia as a result of the passage of Cyclone Jasper. Australian Emergency Management Minister Murray Watt reported that at least 150 people were deployed on Monday to assist the emergency relief and evacuations in several towns that were cut off in the far northeast of the country. Violent fighting in Khartoum, Sudan's capital, over the past 72 hours caused more than 300,000 people to flee the country. According to the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, almost all the refugees in the Wad Madani camp south of the capital have left the area. Violent clashes between the Sudanese army and paramilitary rapid support forces have unleashed terror. According to the International Organization for Migration, these people have set out of food as there is no fuel for any means of transport. In Thailand, the cave where football players and their coach were trapped will be partially reopened for tourists. The cave was the scene of an episode that shocked the world in 2018 when the teenagers of the World football team and their coach were trapped for more than 2 weeks during an almost impossible rescue operation carried out by divers, sailors, and hundreds of volunteers.
Tourists can witness with their own eyes the area from which the boys and their coach were rescued. Although Chamber 3 of the cave is only 800 meters from the entrance, it takes about an hour to cover a distance of a guided group tour. During the rescue mission, which involved about 300 to 400 people, it took about an hour to get the boys from Chamber 3 to the entrance. It would be an incredible experience for tourists.
We move on to a note related to the world of sports. In Spain, the Professional Football League presented on Tuesday before the European Union Council its projects to combat racism for the next season. In the framework of the Spanish presidency of the Council of the European Union, the sports organization explains its actions on racism, xenophobia, and intolerance in sports. In this sense, La Liga highlights its intentions to have sanctioning power with the aim of penalizing hate crimes within the competitions. Furthermore, the league explained the Spanish regulatory structure and its actions with players, clubs, fans, and authorities to eradicate misconduct in sports and exercise disciplinary authority over incidents occurred at its matches. And we have come to the end of this news brief, but before saying goodbye, we want to thank our Caribbean audience, especially the audience of Trinidad and Tobago. We are pleased to share our newscast and contribute to provide alternative news sources of the latest world events. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net, and also on the socials. We're on Facebook, on X, and on Instagram as well. For telesur English, I'm from the South. I'm Ana Marrero. Thank you for watching.